Houston, we have a problem. So here are my okra, and immediately you can see something is eating them. There are holes in this okra leaf, both of these leaves, and I'm wondering what is it? And when I turn it over, we have aphids. Let me bring you in a little closer. Look at this. Can you see that? So you see two things, aphids and ants. The ants are farming the aphids. If farming aphids is a new term for you, let me explain. Aphids are sucking insects, so they will suck the liquid out of your plants. And aphids secrete a waste product called honeydew. And it's sweet. Who likes honeydew? Ants. Ants really like eating honeydew. So ants will gather aphids and they'll farm them. They'll bring the aphids to your plants and they'll protect them. Not only do they bring them, but they protect them. So a natural predator of aphids is ladybugs. Ladybugs will come and eat the aphids, and the ants will attack the ladybugs. So the ants will protect the aphids to ensure that they have a steady food source. So when you see ants, you always look for aphids. And unfortunately, I've got both here in the okra patch. Now, aphids are pretty vile because they reproduce really, really quickly. And one of the reasons they reproduce so quickly is because the females don't need males to lay eggs. They can lay fertilized eggs all on their own. And so overnight, you can get a huge population of aphids and you've got trouble, right? So I've noticed it, and I am going to simply take my hose and blast the aphids off of the leaves. And I usually just rub it as well to make them get off faster. I'm making sure I get all of them. Leave none behind. Oh gosh, oh my gosh, ants, aphids, and eggs. Ugh. Let me bring you in so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see they have taken over this leaf. This whole plant is overrun. We've got ants, we've got aphids, and we have eggs. So I'm gonna have to go through all of this. When it gets to this point, it grosses me out. So I'm gonna get some gloves and just take care of it real quick. I'll be right back. So I'm taking the hose and I'm going to hose it down. And while I hose it, I'm going to rub off all the aphids, all of the eggs, all of the ants. And we're gonna go to every single leaf on this plant. Looks like the bottom leaves don't have anything, but you always want to check, because even a few aphids overnight will multiply. All right, the other ones are clean. I'm gonna go through all these plants and make sure that I get every single last aphid, egg, and ant off of it. This is gonna have to be a daily occurrence because those aphids will keep coming back. So I will come out again tomorrow, continue to do this. And at some point, I'm gonna have to deal with the ants, whether I put out a borax or sugar solution, or if I do something chemical, but the ants are gonna have to be dealt with. So we'll get to that when we need to. Now, before I move on to another gardening task, let's take care of a chicken task. It's been really windy lately and the shade cloth keeps moving, so I want to make sure the chickens are well protected. And so I'm just going to tie the shade cloth down on this side. My area gets really hot in the summer. We can get up to 100 degrees multiple days in a row, and it gets very windy. So keeping the shade cloth tied is really important so that on windy and hot days, the chickens stay cool. My chickens, of course, are super nosy, and they always want to know what's going on. And as they don't have hands, they use their beaks to investigate. So they're not trying to be mean when they peck They just want to know what's going on. For those of you who are new, I have buff Orpingtons, and they are really great in the winter, but they do struggle in the summertime because of the heat. So I always put shade cloth. In another month or so, I'll put another layer of shade cloth to make sure they stay as cool as possible. All right, let's go to the next gardening task. It is the next day. I was able to get some tomato cuttings from someone on Nextdoor for free. I mean, I've gotten cuttings for cheap, but free, this is the first time. They've been in a jar with water for a while now. Now, I've never heard of any of these before. I'm going to put the indigo kumquat up front simply because it is the smallest cutting, so it'll take a while to catch up. And the Berkeley tie-dye will also go up front. Then we've got black from Tula, Mountain Magic, and Big Pink. If we're going by square foot gardening, you could put 1 tomato plant per square foot. So I could put one here, I could put one here, and I could put 3 up front. So let's try that. And then I have 4 marigolds left over. They're a little droopy. It was quite the hot day. I forgot to put them in shade. So we've got 4 marigolds to place in this bed as well. Companion planting with marigolds is super helpful, especially if you have tomato hornworms, which unfortunately we have, at least in that bed. So I want to be proactive and put the marigolds in as I put in the tomatoes. Now I went in and got some tomato, vegetable, and herb fertilizer, and I'm going to plant them with the fertilizer to give them a good start. All right, so cleared out the mulch. Going to sprinkle some fertilizer in there. You want to hold your breath for the fertilizer. You don't want to breathe in the dust cloud. We're gonna put this pretty deep in there. There we go. For now, I'm gonna leave the name tags on as they are, pressing down and recover. So this is the black from Tula. All right, we're gonna put this one here in the corner to make sure that it gets a foot of space. This is the Big Pink. Let's put some fertilizer in there. This soil is beautiful and loose. It is so nice. Indigo kumquat. I do like to mix the fertilizer in with the soil. Just use mulch, whatever you got. And I'm deliberately putting the signs towards the back of the bed because the sun is going to hit initially this way, and I don't want the signs to fade out before I make permanent signs. I make sure to hold my breath when I'm pouring the fertilizer so I do not breathe it in. All right, Mountain Magic is in. The last one is the Berkeley tie-dye. and nice and deep. That way, it will take the Berkeley tie-dye some time to grow tall enough. This one will not get shaded out. This is already quite established. This was a volunteer plant, so it's had a good 2 months of a head start. And the Berkeley tie-dye, which is still pretty small, will not shade it out. So these are the things that you need to think about when you add more plants to a bed. You want to make sure that the new plants do not shade out the ones behind them. I want to move this plant. I planted this yesterday and I feel bad because it's already droopy, but it's way too close to this one. And I feel like if I switch it with the basil, that would make more sense because they would each get a full foot. All right, I have 4 marigolds and let's figure out where we're gonna put them. I'm gonna put one here. I'm just loosening up the roots because it is quite root bound. You can fertilize your flowers. I tend not to, but you definitely can. So it is at the intersection of 3 tomato plants. Yeah, I need more mulch. This bed is not mulched enough. That means the soil is not going to be cool enough. They're going to be hot, so I need to mulch badly. I think I'm going to put one over here. I'm actually just going to put one more because I want to put this last one in the other bed with the tomato that has the hornworm problem. I have 2 marigolds over there, but I would like a third. So we're going to put this third one, let's put it here. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to move this tomato over where the basil is because we have a tomato here and a tomato here. The next one is over here. These are too close. It's only 6 inches apart. We need a foot. The basil will not like me moving it, but you know what? It's just gonna have to deal. Oh, the roots are really beautiful. They come all out here. And let's get some fertilizer in there. I want it pretty deep, so I'm just gonna slide it on in there. Now let's get the basil in. There we go. All right. All right, let's get some more mulch on this bed. We want at least 2 inches. No soil should be uncovered. Since this is mainly a tomato bed, we want to make sure it has adequate protection. Tomatoes do not like being too hot, and when it gets too hot, they will stop producing. Oftentimes they'll drop their flowers if it's too hot, so we want to help them out by keeping the soil temperature as cool as possible. All right, I feel good about this. I'm gonna water it in really well. Now, I like to water at the base of the plants And also water the mulch. It has been very windy lately, and if the mulch is dry, it will blow away in the wind. Ask me how I know about mulch blowing away in the wind. I've experienced it, unfortunately. So I have learned water the mulch as well. It's great because the mulch will not blow off, and also the mulch will retain some of that water, and the plants can pull on it almost like a sponge. Now, I watered the soil before I planted the tomatoes, and I'm going to water again just to make sure they have adequate moisture to help them when it gets warm tomorrow. All right, let's get this last marigold into that bed. We'll water that bed in again, and then we're calling it a day. I'm gonna put this one behind the tomato plant, and I'm also looking at this tomato plant to make sure I found all of the hornworms and there are none left. I pulled 7 hornworms off of this thing. 7, so disgusting. And it's really important that you check and check well, because they are the same color as these leaves and branches, and it's very, very, very hard to see them. My sister's a terrific hornworm spotter. Unfortunately, she's out of town, and I'm on my own. So we're gonna do our best. Another way to spot them is to get one of those black light flashlights, come out at night, shine the flashlight on the tomato plants, and they glow in the dark. I need to get one of those. I don't have one. So until then, we are doing it the old school way and just looking at the plant. And what really sucks is that this plant is the most prolific plant I've ever had. So many tomatoes have come off of it, and of course the hornworms would pick my favorite. I don't see any, but I'm gonna keep looking. And for now, I'm gonna get this marigold in behind it. The strong scent of the marigolds confuses the moth and makes it more challenging to find the tomato plants, to smell them out. So hopefully this will work. I'm not gonna put it directly behind because I do want to get sun. So we'll just put it here. Let's get some mulch on this bed as well. We've got red onions here, this tomato plant that has taken over, and we have an escalator squash here. It's not doing as well as the other escalator squash. I think the tomato plant is so big and so robust that it is taking all of the water and the nutrients. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. This was really a productive time in the garden. We really worked hard to get things done. And that's what it's all about, right? It's doing your very best in the time that you have, wherever you find the time. If for you, it is a few minutes a day, or what I tend to do is I try to pump it out on Saturdays and Sundays. Whatever works best, just be sure that you're in your garden, taking care of things, checking your plants over, addressing their needs to ensure that you and your family can have an awesome harvest. Let me know what you've got growing in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. You can check out a video above, and I will see you in the next one. Happy gardening, everyone.